Hello, welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts. Hey, Mandy, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a busy weekend, so it's a exhausted start to a work week, but I'm here.
Yes, you're here. And you got to have one last Christmas.
I
I think that's so
know. I
fun.
know. It's
Yeah.
funny. Some people love it, some people hate it. Like I get varied
Yeah.
feedback when I tell them that I do my last Christmas on Martin Luther King weekend every year with
Hmm.
my extended family on my mom's side. So
Hmm.
granny and my aunts and uncles, and there are, including the girlfriends and boyfriends that come along, there are 15.
Hmm.
15 under 18 in the room. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's a wild event, but we go all
Yes.
weekend, had a great time, tons of board games. The guys played golf on Saturday, so that was good. Get half of them out of the house for a little while. And then we did church on Sunday and took the long drive back home. The driving is the worst of it. It's
Yeah. That's
across the
6
state.
hours to Granny's.
Yeah. I mean, our
Yeah.
family is spread out all across Texas, so let's
Hmm.
all just go to one side. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. But it has to be there.
Yeah, it
Like you
has to
can't.
be. Granny's house,
Yeah.
that's where it's at. I
Yes.
mean, Granny will be
Mhm.
86 this year, so I'm just, thanking God for all the time that we
Yeah.
get
Glad she's
to drive to
still.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it was good.
I love that. I've never had a family member make it to 86.
Really.
Not even close.
People live a long time in my family, except for my
Yeah.
parents for whatever reason. Like that didn't really
Well,
work out, but like
yeah.
the generations before, like
Hmm.
I've had one hit 100. So
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah, that is not my experience, and I'm hoping that, my parents and me and my sister,
Yeah, turn that
like,
around.
my cousins can all, like, yeah, turn this around. So,
Yeah.
anyway, that got dark. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right. You had a bright, shiny weekend too, though, spending the weekend at
Yeah.
Disney. I'm jealous.
Yeah, so we actually just drove this weekend, but last week, yes,
Yeah.
we spent the week at Disney. It was awesome. I obviously, and I think I mentioned this before, but we didn't go to every park. Dan and I, the
Mhm.
kids and Anna went to every park because they have the energy to do
Yeah.
that.
And the Disney obsession. Gotta have
Yes,
that.
yes, they love Disney. But we went to Epcot and Magic Kingdom and had great days. They were several days apart from each other, which made that easier because
Yeah.
like literally after Epcot, I was done. It was seriously so I mean, we walked like 20,000 steps,
Yeah.
like it's those days get you a little bit whenever you're, you know, a little out of shape, a lot
Yeah.
out of shape maybe. So, but so good, like just so good. The Magic Kingdom was a good day too, but it got cold. It was when we got there in the morning, it was in the 30s.
What? In Florida?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
It got up
disappointing.
to probably like where I don't know. We did take off our coats at some point during
Yeah.
the day, but never the sweatshirts and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it I don't think it got above 50 something. I know. But in Disney, all the rides are inside. It's not
Yeah.
like Six
Uh-huh.
Flags where you're like, out in the elements
Yeah.
going 80 miles an hour. So that was pretty great.
Mhm.
Like not everything's inside, obviously, but that was fabulous. It was a really good day. The thing that I loved about the Disney trip was that we stayed at Fort Wilderness Campground and it is a full resort.
Yeah.
Like it is really freaking cool. We stayed right across from my in-laws, which technically Dan's brother and his wife and their baby stayed in there, and the parents went to the lodge because
Yeah.
they like to, I mean, mostly I think his mom likes to stay in a hotel. That's a
Versus
little
the
bit more
camper.
cushy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she took the kids and, they stayed up there and that's really fun. But it was so fun to be there for baby Teddy's first time at Disney. And so
Yeah.
he's just the best, most fun baby. And so it was fun to watch him see the characters and, he's like 10 months, so it's fun. He's a fun baby. So it's good to spend time with them. But there's pools and there's all this stuff and you take the boat over to the parks or to the transportation and like
Yeah.
it was a cool experience. I would go back to that. And of course, we like to stay in the camper. So that was fabulous. Anyway,
I love
I
it.
loved it. And I am glad that we're home because we were gone for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say, because 'cause you've been gone
yeah, it's
for
nice. It's nice to be home, but it's also not because it's so cold here.
yeah.
Like it hurts your face cold outside. So
We have
I
a
don't like that.
crazy weather forecast coming up for this weekend. Like,
Mhm.
and it's so funny because I keep seeing TikToks of meteorologists. They're like, I know it says you're going to get 20 inches of snow in Texas. Calm down. It's all wrong. It's all pulling weird right now because it doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now, but we better not get 20 inches of snow.
Yeah, no, you better make sure you got all the essentials
Yeah.
because if you do, nothing is clearing that snow until
No,
it gets
like,
warm again.
remember a few years ago we had Ice Mageddon and it was like,
Mhm.
seriously, like,
It shut everything down. The businesses, the
people
everything.
died in their
Yeah. Oh,
homes
really?
and froze to death. Like, literally, it was crazy because people were like, the electricity, the water, like, it
Mhm.
like ruined our life. People make fun of us down here in Texas because we don't know how to deal with cold weather, but like, we're not equipped for
But
that
it
because we
doesn't
don't get
come.
it.
No.
And then when it happens, we're literally screwed. So we got lucky. Nothing crazy, no major damage or anything like that for us when that happened. But like when they started calling for bad weather, I always brace for it because I'm like, oh, I do not want to do that again.
Yeah. No, I understand. We actually drove through snow on the way home,
Hmm.
some pretty serious snow. There wasn't snow really on the ground, but it was snowing crazy around Atlanta, which they don't get a ton of snow there. And I was like, "Oh, I hope it doesn't start sticking to the roads because they didn't pre-treat the roads. They don't clear
Yeah.
the roads. They just don't have that
Oh,
technology."
there was no
And
going
so
anywhere here.
yeah. So I'm like, I hope that we can, and it was only for like an hour and a half.
Hmm.
So we got out of it just fine. But I'm like, they won't be fixing that
Yeah.
like they do at home right when it happens. So I'm like, I can't imagine living somewhere where, because the weather has just gotten so out of control and so random and people are still not ready for it because why would they have all of that
Yeah.
equipment,
Why would
when
they?
it never happens. So anyway, um, check that off the list. We talked
Yeah.
about the weather
I
on this
know. We
podcast.
always talk about the weather. I don't know why we do that. But
I
in
know,
other
it's you.
news,
It's because you talk about the
I know.
weather.
I can't help it. I can't
I
help it.
also started that. It's
We've
fine.
had some interesting client situations this week too,
Yeah.
where I feel like you've had to like, I don't know if I would say had to, but you definitely put your corporate hat back on for a few minutes. Do you feel like you have a little bit of a corporate hangover?
A little bit. So it's very interesting because I never really thought I knew that I took um a lot of skills that I learned from corporate into this business.
Hmm.
Everybody who's worked in corporate does because there's so many great systems and you're taught really great ways to handle things. I ran into a situation this week that was rough. It was really rough. And I put my corporate hat back on and then I'm going, did I ever take it off?
Yeah, when you think about, because it's not just about the skill sets, it's not just about the
Hmm.
systems, it's not just about office politics. Like when you think about corporate structure, there are so many things that we changed kind of about how we operated and behaved from day to day to get through it, based whether it was, expected or just like what you do to survive or, to find success in the role that you're in, how you respond to certain scenarios, the way that you behave on social media. Like there are so many things that are like, I feel like now in kind of ingrained in who I am. But like, it's like when you wear that mask for so long, when you take it off, it's like, what,
Well,
how would
does the
I normally
corporate
react?
personality,
Yeah.
yeah, does the corporate personality ever really go away? And the answer is probably for some people,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been wild to think about this week because of,
Yeah.
how everything went down.
That situation was like a one off, strange thing that doesn't happen very often, but I think that's why it was kind
Never.
of, yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of a slap in the face, not just in like in the situation, but kind of a slap in the
Mhm.
face in the reality of the conditioning of how you respond to sort of, I mean, in our world before we would say like a guest complaint, right? But this is more of like a client situation, but you treat them the same. They're our customers. So
Mhm.
we were always trained that, yes is the answer. What is the question? And
Yeah.
I don't think it applies here. It just doesn't.
No. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. This situation made me realize, especially because Dan sat through the entire crazy phone call where, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was accosted out of nowhere, like with someone who we've had a good relationship with. This has only been a month-long client, but we've had a good relationship, although, she has been difficult, but we've had a good relationship. So it caught me
Yeah.
right in the chin, like I literally didn't see it coming. And it wasn't just, I don't like what you're doing. It was a full on attack of crazy.
Yeah.
I just, again, just couldn't have seen it coming because this is not how people behave in the real world. It was crazy, but the reason that I felt so like, it was like I was calling on my media training,
Yeah.
because Dan was sitting there like, say, and I'm like, because he has no media training.
Yes,
He's
exactly. And
never
that's
worked
that's
in
the
corporate.
big takeaway here, right? Is that the way someone would react having no like prior conditioning or training
Mhm.
is completely different than you do when when you've been taught to bite your tongue and don't say what you're thinking and yes ma'am and you
Mhm.
grovel for the guest.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
hard to break yourself of that. It really, really is. And in some ways, I don't think that you should, right? Like those were really great
Mhm.
practices that we learned in
Yeah.
self
Mhm.
control and, diffusing situations for sure. But at the same
Mhm.
time, like bending over backwards for a client is one thing. Like taking a beating for
Taking
no good
abuse.
reason
Yeah.
is not acceptable. And I'm proud of you for not going completely postal on her, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like, you should still get to defend yourself. You
Mhm.
just should.
Yeah, and it felt, I don't know, it felt normal to me how I handled it because it's not the client is always right mentality as much as in this scenario, she was off her rocker. So I I would have been trying to convince somebody that was not based in reality,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So this was a whole different situation, but again, my corporate training really kicked in. It's not worth it. It's not, we have to just part ways and never look back and not have the say that you really want to say because I don't like getting defensive. I like to take accountability and come to a resolution.
Yeah. And everybody
But
wins should be the goal,
mhm,
right? But this was
yes,
not a
absolutely.
scenario where that was possible. And I feel
Mhm,
really bad we're not sharing details of the situation to the listeners who were listening to the debacle of it all. But
mhm,
basically, we had a client that was expecting results that could not be guaranteed and was very upfront about that in the beginning and then didn't like the results that she was getting and wanted to discontinue service but not by adhering to the service agreement that was agreed upon to begin with. So that's like
right.
the general
But
basis of it.
yes, but there is more to that
Of
of
course.
also the reason that we can never guarantee results.
Right.
Like it's marketing. So you can't guarantee results. We can pretty much guarantee some results if you follow our advice
Yeah.
because we understand the algorithms, we understand what works and what doesn't work, and we know what makes a difference in things and what is like that doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
we have to stick to the format here, and she didn't take any of that advice.
Right.
And so it was very hard because it's like, I'm not defensive that we couldn't guarantee anything and then you didn't get the desired result, right?
But you didn't get the desired result because you didn't do any of the things that we suggested to get the
Right.
result.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like,
So that's where it gets harder because usually if somebody is just out of line and you're like, I can take some responsibility for that.
Yeah.
But it was like, this was a tough situation because I'm like, we have been fighting to get her to do the things and she didn't do them. And this is where you fire a client. And this is why we don't have contracts. And this
Yep.
is, and I tell our clients that we don't have contracts because we might not be for you. You might not be for us. We have to both want to be here.
To make it
And
work. Yeah.
yes. And I just, like I said, it felt like my corporate, personality came directly back. And again, Dan was like, just, like, you just have to. And I'm like,
I can't do it.
I guess I can't let myself do that, and I want to say the things that you are suggesting because you're right. Like,
Yeah.
but it also, so there were two parts of it. I have this training and this is what feels right to me. And two, I'm not negotiating with crazy people. Like that was
Yeah.
this was a whole different situation. We've definitely had people who didn't love what we were doing. That happens, creative differences. But
To
this was a
equate
whole
this
different,
to a former
yeah,
life, this was the drunk guy at the bar who just had to go. Just had to go. Just
yeah.
call the cops. Get him out of here.
Yeah. I just think that this was an interesting situation that happened that made me go, I can slip that mask right back on, I guess, because I do feel like we've done a good job of not making ourselves corporate. We
Yeah.
took the systems, we took the good away, and then we made it our own. And I like that, but the phone voice comes straight back,
It sure does. It sure
Yeah.
does. And I love it's a great skill. It's a great
Mhm.
skill to have to be able to turn it on when you need to and perform at the highest level, but at the same time, like I value authenticity and I want to
Mhm.
be able to be freely and 100% myself at all times.
Mhm.
And it's funny when you are so ingrained in a brand for decades,
Mhm. Mhm.
you forget where the lines are in what is really great skill sets and great practices and what is part of the brand that you are following, serving, working with for whatever, however you want to put it. Um,
Mhm.
and in coming over to essential marketing for you, creating it, it's interesting to me the things that we've changed, the things that we've kept, maybe even inadvertently, not really intentionally, like, oh, this is something that I want to do. It's just, it starts to feel like part of who you are because you are conditioned. And I
Mhm.
think a big part of that is the people pleasing. Like, you and I are both
Mhm.
really, really guilty of being people pleasers a lot of the time.
Mhm.
And I don't know about for you, but even for me in my personal life, I don't call it people pleasing. I'm like go with the flow, or I'm like easy to get along with, or
Mhm.
whatever, very relaxed. Like I
Yep.
don't really like to pick what we're going to do or
Mhm.
what we're going to have for dinner. Like it doesn't
Yeah, you
matter.
just wanna make it
I'm yeah,
easier for everybody else.
exactly. I don't
Yeah.
want to be another
Mhm.
loud opinion in the room that's going to make a situation argumentative.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is being a people pleaser. Just
Yep.
to the point where I'm like, I don't know what I want to eat. I don't know
Mhm.
what I want to do
Mhm.
today, right? Like that
Yep.
sounds so
But when
stupid
you're trained, though, when you're trained to
to just go with the flow and be
put
happy
everybody
with
else
whatever.
right. Yeah, but also put everyone else first, right? Which is what we had to do so much in corporate
Yeah.
is we were the facilitators of fun, and it didn't matter if we were having fun. you
Right.
know? Like
Right.
it was
You train your
it
brain to look
usually
for it in
happened.
others, not to feel it
Yep.
yourself.
Yeah, and we usually did have fun
Yeah.
anyway, but it was mostly about making sure that other people were happy, other people, so years and years and years and years of that, and you can't not be like that.
Yep.
And I think that I see that a lot in we'll have a client who will say, "Can you do this?" And it's like, "I'll find a way. I'll find a way to do this for you." And then you spin your wheels because you're like, "That's not what I do. Now I have to learn something new." And I it's not that I don't wanna be a people pleaser. I don't wanna be a toxic people
Yeah.
pleaser where it affects my happiness or my peace
Yeah.
or things like
We've
that,
gotten better at
and
that. We have gotten
Yes.
better at that, especially professionally, because we've learned to say no to things that we actually just don't wanna do.
Yeah, it's easier once you have enough business
Yeah,
to say no
for
because
sure.
it's like, what if we don't get 3 websites this month? We're probably gonna need that, whatever
Yeah,
they
we'd
want us to do.
like to pay some
Yeah.
bills.
Yeah, so but yeah, I think that probably it's not just us. I bet a lot of people walk away from their corporate career or are sitting in a corporate career going, "I am a people pleaser, and it's because I'm a high achiever. It's because I'm this or this, and I can't stop it because now they won't think I'm doing a good job if I'm not
Yeah.
just, like
Well,
now you're bucking the
yeah,
system
you
or
wanna
not
be
doing
seen
as
as
much."
easy to work with, and you do that sometimes to your own expense. Like,
Mhm.
I can remember distinct times where I would read the room and literally have to shift my personality depending on the power dynamics in the room, depending on who your audience is, whether, I mean, we did that in like presentations and events and things like that. That to me
Mhm.
is a completely different skill set.
Yes.
It's not. It's the same skill set being used differently, and I don't have as much opportunity for that to happen in my life now just because my life is very vastly different than it was in that
Mhm.
world, but I still see it. I went to a Christmas party with a client at an event, with some networking things that they're doing, and I felt it in the room, like, I turned it right back on to fit the vibe of the room and the people that we're talking to and the part that I'm supposed to be playing, and it was like, "Wow, okay, that just happened? Alright."
Mhm.
And it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing. It was,
Yeah.
being able to be a chameleon and be professional and represent the brand that you're representing in the best way possible, but at the same time, once again, it's like, do you recognize when you're wearing a mask versus when you're just being authentically yourself? It's not the same thing.
No, it's not. And I believe that prolonged masking every day, every week will wear you down and cause burnout.
Yep.
I think that only having to whip it out every once in a while at an event with a client is
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. And
manageable.
when you know that it's happening, that's a healthy thing.
Yes, yes, because you're like, okay, I can inject enough of my personality in
Yes.
here so I don't feel like a phony or
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm losing myself.
Mhm.
But I think that that is something that we have started to perfect, figuring out how to be exactly us and not worrying about who other people want us to be
Yeah.
because we're representing a brand that we get to change and form as we
Define as
go.
we
Yes.
wish, yeah,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is a huge blessing. Huge
Mhm.
blessing that the brand that we represent is the one that we're creating in action, and it's
Yes.
evolving. I
Mhm.
mean, as
Mhm.
I think all brands should to stay relevant, it is evolving and shaping and changing, and, it's just interesting to have situations come up and realize, there are aspects of our brand identity, or not even just in the identity of, like, but what's the expectation? How
Mhm.
would you want your brand to handle the situation that you just came out of? Did you do it the way that Texas Roadhouse would have had you do it, or did you do it the way that Mandy Alt would have had you do it? And I think in this exact scenario, it's both. It's both
It was a
because
hybrid.
it was
Yeah.
definitely, you definitely took the high road. You took it on the
Mhm.
chin. You gave in a little
Mhm.
bit, but you also didn't allow yourself to be completely railroaded. And
Right.
not that I think anybody at Texas Roadhouse ever wanted us to be completely railroaded by a guest or by a coworker or
Mhm.
whatever, but we did go to great lengths to make those people happy until you
Yeah, and
realize that you
to
can't,
be
and
the
then you're
good
like,
yeah,
"All right,
be the good
yeah,
guy and play nice. And it's for reputation.
yeah,"
It's for
which is
the
important.
culture of it, and I don't have more to lose than a big corporation. At all, but I have the ability to tank my business with one scenario
Yeah,
where they don't. I don't know. This has been an interesting week of thinking about that, but it really makes you think like, what do I want this business to look like with crisis management,
Yeah.
if you will?
What is the
Um,
brand standard for Essential Marketing Group versus, any other brand out there? Like, what is our
mhm,
standard? And it's not
mhm,
something that we've had to deal with many times.
mhm.
I mean, of course there's conflict every now and again, but
Yeah.
mostly our authenticity has diffused so much of that, and people realize that
Mhm,
they're dealing with humans. Humans make
mhm,
mistakes, and we own our mistakes, and we make things right.
mhm.
And that
Yeah.
is usually enough.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that it also opens up a whole nother, like, it's made me think about how much did I bring over of someone else's brand,
Yes.
and do I want to make any changes, right? But then our intern started today, and they're fabulous. They're just the greatest. But I took them to meet Chad and Annie at Realty One Trifecta, and they're one of our clients that we work with a lot. And we had to work on something on Meta, but I wanted to introduce them. And of course, we have different relationships with all of our clients. Our relationship with the realtors is probably as casual as you can
Yeah,
get
it
with
is the
clients.
most authentic for sure.
It is. And I just love that. And I was like, I am kind of glad that they're seeing this casual, because as they go to these meetings with me, we have one tomorrow, we have one the next day. They're and through the semester, but
Yeah.
like they're going to the different ways that we present ourselves as Essential Marketing Group. But I think that it's okay to be who you are. They're going to see that we speak differently with
Yeah.
different people. We dress differently in different situations,
Mhm.
but it's okay if we, like today I just have on leggings and a sweatshirt ish type
Yeah.
thing. And it's okay. We build websites and do social media. We don't have to have on corporate,
Yeah, we're not wearing pantsuits.
clothing. No, no. And some brands that do the exact same thing as us will,
Mhm.
because that's their thing. I don't know, it's kind of freeing, and it kind of lets me see, okay, I know what our brand is. I didn't know what the crisis management side of it was. I didn't know how much I had brought with me, right? But I think that we still have built our own brand,
For
right?
sure.
So little parts of the corporate personality hangover will come over, and come through, but it's again, it's the meshing thing, because you just kind of are who you are from your training, from your
Yeah, it really does shape
past.
who you are now, for
Yeah.
sure. I was gonna ask you, just like not trying to get too deep and philosophical, but like, do you think that being truly authentic and professional at the same time is like possible and sustainable?
Yes, I think so.
I do too.
So, and that's where I feel like I ended up being authentic to myself in that scenario with our client, our past client. Um, and, but I was professional the entire time. There
Yeah.
was nothing that was out of line. It was all, if you listened to our episode about what corporate emails actually mean,
Yeah.
um, there was none of that passive aggressive stuff. It was very direct. I appreciate this. This is what I need to understand before we move forward. That sort of thing, right? There were boundaries, which I think was the biggest problem,
Yep.
right? Some people can't accept boundaries. But if someone read those emails, there's nobody who would be like, that is unreasonable.
Right.
I can't believe you were so horribly unprofessional, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that we definitely do that. Do I think that sometimes I am too professional? I've had people tell me that at networking, "You're
Yeah.
so professional." And I'm like, I am still masking. I'm still masking a little bit, because this is a professional setting.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit harder for me sometimes to make relationships than some other people, because I think that I do put
Keep
on
that
that
hat on all the time.
professional. Yep.
Well, I do think
Yep.
that, when I'm thinking about the reality of the professionalism versus authenticity, the way that we watch our tone in communication, the way that you need to suppress emotion in some of those difficult conversations and really thinking about protecting your image in the way that you handle things. Like, you can look at all of those things really negatively or inauthentically, but
Mhm.
if you really think about it, like, those are really great things to do in conflict resolution in relationships, whether it's, romantic relationships, or I think about that with my
Mhm.
kids. Like,
Mhm.
that those are skills that apply in any conflict situation that will help you to diffuse it. And maybe the delivery can be a little more personal and authentic sometimes than strictly professional, and maybe there is a little bit more of a blend that we could get to that feels really genuine versus I'm just saying this because I have to, because I don't want to tank my business. I think that we can
Mhm.
achieve both at the same time. And this
Yeah.
week, this situation was a great example of you doing that, but not even knowing until after the fact, like, holy cow, I had to go back to a place, I had to go back to a person that I didn't realize I still was or still could be in this
Yeah.
scenario, because those scenarios don't come up so often. And
No.
I don't know, I think we're learning a little bit about ourselves and about the brand that we're still building, still
Mhm.
building and growing and evolving over time.
Mhm.
But I was proud of the way that you were able to be authentic and professional at the same time, though
Mhm.
accused hostilely of being unprofessional, which was
Yeah.
wildly
But that's
inaccurate.
but that's the thing with people who cannot understand boundaries. That is probably how it seemed, and that to them
Mhm.
it's interesting. I think that what I'll take away from this is that I have to I have to completely remove myself from the people pleaser. I can't worry about what somebody needs if it really goes against what we need as a business and I need as a person. And that I am happy that I have that kind of media training and know how to handle something where I'm not going to tank my business over it. And I there's a balance there. There's a
Yeah.
balance of being happy that I have this in me and not letting it take over to where I'm masking
Yeah.
in this job that I have made for myself that I'm not can't get fired from.
Right.
Like I need to unmask a little bit more probably than I do.
Yeah. But
So that's what I took from it.
don't underestimate the things that you did that shifted from that corporate persona that you kind of hopped back into. And if you don't recognize them off the top of your head, I'll tell you. Number one, you did not respond irrationally, so that's great. You did
Mhm.
pause before you responded, but also when it was all said and done, you didn't have to go back and follow up with once again, I just want to say I'm so sorry, or da, da, da. There was no, like, just let the silence speak for itself. It is what it is,
Mhm.
and that's done. The other
Yeah.
thing, and the last thing that I'll tell you that I was really happy with the way that that situation was handled, was you said exactly what you meant without softening it, but without
Mhm.
being excessively harsh. You were
Yeah.
direct, but not cold.
Yeah.
But there's no need
I
for sugar here. It
yeah.
is what it is.
Yes, there was
And
no sugarcoating.
I think that that is the part of things that makes me proud to see you shine through the mask that you
Yeah.
very quickly felt like you needed to find and pick up, and oh my gosh, let's
Mhm.
go back, resort back to the training that I had. Like, you have it in you to handle it. Mittens doesn't have it in him to let us record this podcast, but
No, no, no. He's letting it happen. He just needs to headbutt
he
me
just wants to
first.
be a special guest. I love it.
Yes. All right. Well, I liked this conversation. I hope that if you are somebody who has left corporate and you feel like you have that corporate personality hangover, or anyone has told you, as you know, that your phone voice is so
Yeah.
different, or you're too much of a people pleaser, whatever it is. Think about these things. Think about, like, consciously think about unmasking when you
Yeah.
can.
And
You
if
can't
if
always,
you're
but
still in corporate and you find yourself doing these things and you just wonder what it's like on the other side, it's still hard to shed that skin that is
yeah.
created along the way. But
Mhm.
I do think it's possible to let your true self shine through.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. But oh, it's hard to think about what people will think of you once they only know that version of
Yeah,
you. Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, great conversation. I do want to, before we jump off of here, talk about the Become conference because
I
it's getting
know, it's getting
close.
close.
We've
I'm
booked your
so
flight.
excited. I'm definitely
Yes.
coming now. I have a flight and everything.
I know. So we might possibly have a couple of the keynote and breakout speakers on
Yeah.
the podcast here soon.
A little
So I'm
sneak
hoping that
peek
we
for
can
everyone.
schedule that and make sure that it lines up with people's schedules. But so you can get a sneak peek of what you might be seeing there. But once again, the Become Conference is a women's conference in St. Louis, Missouri on March 12th and 13th. And it is a kind of 1.5 day conference. And the thing that I always get from it, and I've said this before, is inspiration from the keynotes and real life actionable skills from the breakouts.
Yeah.
And
And
it
all the
it
other
just
time, the networking and the people that you get to meet and, like, it's
mhm,
like-minded, everyone's there for the same purpose, so
mhm,
there's kind of less fear there of getting connected.
mhm. Yep, yep, and I so for anybody who has ever been in a situation where you're by yourself going to a brand new situation where you will probably know nobody, that has always scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally almost debilitating to me to walk in somewhere where you don't know anyone. First and foremost, if you're listening to this, then you know us a little bit and we will be your friend. And so you won't feel like you're just walking around alone.
Yeah.
But two, the base of this group that puts this on is Little Black Book Women in Business.
Mhm.
And it's a networking group that I've been very invested in for a couple of years now. And these women only want to support other women. So you will never feel out of place. You will never feel unwelcome, right? There's always going to be someone who wants to talk to you. And while some people definitely know each other, everyone pretty much owns a business, their own business, and or they work for a business. It's not like it's a whole bunch of groups of people who all work in the same office together. So you're going to see all these cliques
Right.
of people, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's sitting there going, oh, but it would be so scary to go alone. It's like, that is not this situation at all.
Yeah.
So just keep it in mind. We would love, love, love to see you there. You will get just so much out of this. So, as always, we will have the link to get more information and to register in the show notes.
Yeah. Check
And
it out.
if you want to also follow Little Black Book or Women of LBB on any of the socials, they're everywhere. You can see more about it. There's lots of posts about it, so you can kind of see what's coming up.
Well, I'm pumped. I'm going to be there, and I bet I don't know a soul there but you, Mandy. So I'll be on the
Possibly.
lookout for some of our corporate burnout friends.
Yes. All right. Well, we can't wait to see you guys there, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.